Hello gamers! In today's video we will take a look at the FSR 3.1 in Ghost of Tsushima. All tests were made on 1440p with our optimized settings, which you can find in our guide. You might also want to check how the newest FSR version performs in Horizon Forbidden West. Links are, as always, in the description. Okay, let's just start with our comparison. Stationary, just like in Horizon, one can see that FSR really catches up to DLSS, providing very good image quality finally without flickering. I must say that it's slightly less sharp than DLSS, but the difference is minor. Maybe next time. A lot of players were worried if FSR would handle the amount of foliage in Ghost of Tsushima, and generally it does, but we will come back to it later. In my previous video comparing Upscalers in Tsushima, vertical motion was Achilles heel of FSR. Not only was there flickering, but the image quality was generally worse, even compared to Intel's solution. With version 3.1, the situation is much better, and FSR can compete in terms of image stability and quality even with the DLSS. It's still slightly worse, but the progress is outstanding, especially considering that the previous 2.2 version of FSR had no start to DLSS. It's worth mentioning that in Ghost of Tsushima, FSR seems to be more demanding and results in lower framerate, but this small difference can be justified because in some situations FSR is doing even better than DLSS. To prove that I'm not manipulating the recorded footage, I'm showing you the entire process of testing for this particular scenario. As you can see in horizontal motion, DLSS tends to flicker a little bit. Here you can see it's synchronized. Generally, DLSS in Ghost of Tsushima, especially in scenarios involving horizontal motion, is performing actually worse than FSR. This trend is consistent and I observed similar results on the previous version of FSR. However, FSR usually pays for this advantage with significant ghosting compared to DLSS. At least it is like that in the Horizon. But in Ghost of Tsushima, FSR suffers from ghosting much less than in Horizon. I had a real journey to find a spot where ghosting could be even noticed. I found some ghosting, but it required sophisticated background to the motion. In Horizon, there are more situations with higher pace and a lot of fast-moving objects, which are very prone to ghosting. In Tsushima, there are simply fewer opportunities like that. Just like in Forbidden West, I was trying to induce ghosting synthetically to see its possible scale. Needless to say, I was tryharding. Of course, it is possible to summon ghosts in extreme and rare scenarios, but that happens very rarely during normal gameplay. And sometimes even DLSS is ghosting a little bit, so definitely a big plus for FSR implementation in Tsushima. Let's take a closer look now at the foliage. Generally AMD's solution is looking okay. Even with so much motion in pixels, FSR is very comparable to DLSS. I've only noticed sometimes that FSR loses a bit of image stability and starts minor smearing. Does all that mean that FSR is simply as good or better than DLSS in this particular game? Not really. Upscalers can succeed and fail in multiple different categories. DLSS is known for its complexity, and one of the biggest flaws of FSR, and the same story was in Horizon, is that it notably fails to reflect weather effects. It's actually the main thing that holds me back from switching to FSR in Ghost of Tsushima. Fire and smoke effects also look better on DLSS. But of course there are situations where both upscalers do not handle very well. Now you are looking at my old FSR 2.2 test from the place that I'm calling the Upscalers Nemesis. It's this texture on this distant beach, and I'm telling you, it can cause all spectrum of artifacts for upscalers. On this previous test, FSR was in the middle of the stake just after DLSS. This time, when I came back to retest it, I saw this. So the beginning was promising. I conducted a game test in motion, and FSR was performing much better than before. In motion, because it's a keyword, it did pretty much same as good as DLSS. To sum up, FSR is very convincing in Ghost of Tsushima, and it's implemented slightly better than in Horizon, mostly due to significantly less ghosting. Image quality in vertical motion is much better in comparison to the older 2.2 version, and in horizontal motion, from my tests, FSR 3.1 looks even better than DLSS, which is of course a surprise. Just remember that Upscaler's efficiency depends a lot on factors like game type, its pace and implementation. DLSS, yet again, proves to be the most complex upscaler, performing at least good in pretty much all scenarios. If you found this type of content useful, please consider subscribing to us and leaving a like. You can find on our channel upscaling comparisons, setting optimization guides, and gaming music cinematic videos. Thank you for watching and see you soon!